A very warm morning to one and all present here. This is Abhilasha from Layal Public School, and today, students, we all are going to start our new chapter from your civics textbook, and the name of the chapter is Struggles for Equality. This is chapter number 9 of your book. Many of you might have the numbering of this chapter as chapter number 10 if you are having the old book. Okay, but in new version, but in new production, this is chapter number 9. Okay, chapter number 9, Struggles for Equality. So class, in this book, you have read about people like Kanta, the Ansaris, Melani, Swapna. The thread that connects all of these lives is that they have been treated unequally. Ansaris, we talked about Kanta. She was the maid, and she has she her son got her son got very ill, and she has to be in a very long queue for his treatment. But when it comes to Mr. Jain, he went to the private hospital where very heavy amounts of charges are there. So she felt unequal there. Ansaris, जब हमने रेंट की बात की थी, ड्यू टू देयर religion they got discriminated. Okay, we talked about them here, and we saw their lives, like how they treated unequally in different dimensions, in different perspectives. Okay, so what do people do when they face such inequalities? What they do, what are the rights they have, what they can do, um, what they can do to hurdle all those inequalities which they are facing. History is full of examples of persons who have come together to fight against inequality and for issues of justice. So in history, we saw some examples where many persons came, or even in your higher classes also, you all are able to get the information of those persons who fight against inequality, and those who face injustice, and those who raise their voice for justice. Do you recall the story of Rosa Parks in chapter number Rosa Parks? She was an African American, and she fight against racism. Do you remember the photo essay on the women's movement in chapter number 5? In this chapter, you will learn about some of the ways in which people have struggled against inequality. So basically, in this chapter, we will talk about what people do to fight against inequality, what people do when they face different types of inequalities. So we will talk about struggles against inequality in this chapter. So just look at some of the pictures which is given here. Just look at those pictures. You can relate these things. Like these are the pictures from the previous chapters which we have done. Okay. Okay, now let's move to our next page. As you have already read in this book, the Indian Constitution recognizes all Indians as equal before the law and states that no person can be discriminated against because of their religion, sex, caste, or whether they are rich or poor. All adults in India have the equal right to vote during elections, and this power over the ballot box has been used by people to elect or replace their representatives. So class, our constitution, our supreme law, our constitution, and it's like tomorrow we have this Republic Day, and we have our national festival, National Day of India, Republic Day, which we celebrate on 26th of January every year. And in this very particular day, our constitution got implemented. Yes, from 26 January 1950, our constitution got implemented. So the Indian constitution recognizes all Indians as equals before the law and states that no person can be discriminated against because of their religion, sex, caste, or whether they are rich or poor. Everybody, either it is a prime minister, it is the prime minister of India or a common citizen of India, everyone is equal before the law. No one is superior to the law. No person can be discriminated. No person can be discriminated, or constitution will not be partial to anyone because of their religion or sex or caste or class. Everybody is superior. Everybody is superior. Nobody is superior to the law. Everybody is equal. So we have this equal rights of we have the equal right to vote during at the time of election. We have this right, and we have this power over the ballot box. Who will win the election? We have this power because we have this power to elect our government. So we have this power, but this feeling of equality that the ballot box provides, because the vote of one person is as good as that of another, does not extend to most people's lives. As you have read, the increasing privatization of health services and the neglect of government hospitals have made it difficult for most people like Kanta, Hakim Sheikh, and Aman to get good quality health care. These people do not have the resources to afford expensive private health services. Okay, so we have this power, we have this feeling of equality when it comes to the ballot box, because each and every person has one right and one vote, and one vote is equals to one value. ऐसा नहीं है प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने वोट किया है तो एक मतलब उसकी वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी, और एक कॉमन सिटीजन ने, एक फार्मर ने, या कोई भी किसी भी पर्सन ने अगर वोट किया है तो उसकी वैल्यू कम हो जाएगी. नो, वन वोट इज इक्वल्स टू वन वैल्यू, एंड the vote of one person is good as that of another. Okay, but we in many chapters we talked about the privatization, the increasing number of privatization in education sector or health services, or you can say government hospitals are has been neglecting, is not like developing as much as the private sector is developing. So many poor people like Kanta, Hakim Sheikh, they are not getting the good quality healthcare because they can't afford the private healthcare. So they have to move to the government hospitals, and the government hospital is not developing as private hospitals. So these peoples do not have the resources to afford expensive private health services. Okay, so similarly, the man who sells juice does not have the resources to compete with all the major companies who sell branded drinks through expensive advertising. Swapna does not have sufficient resources to grow cotton, and so has to take a loan from the trader to grow her crop. This forces her to sell her cotton at a lower price. Melanie, like the millions of domestic workers across the country, is forced to endure the insults and hardships of working as a domestic help because she has no resources to set up something on her own. So similarly, we have seen many examples like the man who sells juice does not have adequate resources to compete with the major branded companies who sell branded juice through expensive advertising. In the chapter advertisement also we talked about how 10 few seconds of advertisement costs so much high. It's cost so expensive. It is so expensive, like 10 seconds of advertisement, and TV channels charges like lakhs of rupees for that, for 10 seconds advertisement. So Swapna के पास भी क्या है, she even does not have sufficient resources to grow cotton. So what she did, she has to take a loan from the trader to grow her crop, and and this forces her to sell her cotton at lower price, और उसको forcefully अपनी जो cotton है lower prices में क्या करना पड़ता है, sell करना पड़ता है. Various millions of domestic workers across the country, across our country, they have to face so many insults, and they have to struggle a lot. They have to they have to do the hardships of, they have to do all the hardships of working as a domestic help, because she has no resources to set up, because she has no adequate resources to set up her own work, or set up something on her own. So what are all these all these are connected to poverty. Poverty and the lack of resources continue to be a key reason why so many people's lives in India are highly unequal. What is the main reason behind this inequality? The main reason behind this inequality is poverty, मतलब गरीबी. Poverty and the lack of resources. People does not have sufficient resources, adequate resources to set up something on their own, or make their earning, make their sufficient earning. So poverty and the lack of resources are the main reasons behind this inequality. Okay, so on the other hand, the Ansaris were discriminated against, not because they did not have the resources. In fact, despite having the money to pay the required rent, they are not able to find an apartment for over a month. People were reluctant to lease them an apartment because of their religion. Here, religion comes. In upper section, we saw people are not having adequate resources. That's why they are feeling unequal. And in Ansari's case, we have seen because of their religion, they have to because of their religion, many people were reluctant to give them rent, give them an apartment on rent, right? Similarly, the main reasons that the teachers forced Om Prakash Valmiki to sweep the schoolyard was because he was Dalit, because of his caste. So we talked about various things in this particular book, and we saw how different people face inequality, inequality because of different religion, different reasons, because of their religion, because of their caste, because of their class, because of their economic standards. They have to face so many struggles. So they have to face so many hardships. They have to do so much struggle. Women do is often considered of less value than that done by men. Women work is considered of less value. Why? Because just because they are women, that's why they are like their work is considered of less value as compared to the men. All of these persons are discriminated against primarily because of their social and cultural background, as well as because they are women. Social and cultural background. Poverty and lack of resources. Second reason, social and cultural background. So this is called discrimination. Discrimination on the basis of a person's religion, caste and sex is another significant factor for why people are treated unequally in India. Till now we have talked about two things. What are the main reasons? Poverty and lack of resources. After that, we talked about discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, and sex. These are the two important factors for which people are treated unequally in India. Often, poverty and lack of dignity and respect for certain communities and groups come together in such powerful ways that it is difficult to identify where one aspect of inequality ends and other begins. As you have read, Dalit, Adivasi and Muslim girls drop out of school in large numbers. This is a combined outcome of poverty, social discrimination and lack of good quality school facilities for these communities. So sometimes we see poverty and lack of dignity and respect for certain communities. They come together, they link to each other, and sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to identify which aspect of inequality is there. It is poverty, or it is like it is the discrimination on the basis of various reasons. So because in the case of when we see Dalit, Adivasis and Muslim girls drop out of school in large numbers, what they are, because they are poor and because of their social and cultural background also, it is impossible, it is very difficult for us to identify which type of inequality exists here. Because of the lack of the resources, they are not able to get the adequate resources, and they are like they are like they are like dropping out of the school, or due to the social discrimination, they are like not able to get the good quality education facilities. Okay, so this is all about today class. So in our next class we will talk about our next topic, that is struggles for equality, and we will discuss struggles for equality. Okay, after that we will saw some of the examples also, through which we will understood this concept of struggles for equality. Thank you class.